Welcome back to Thailand ChitChat. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please share, pass comments. We'd love to hear what you've got. So today we've got the Pattaya Report with Craig McAvenny down in Pattaya. And so let's get on with it. So Craig, how's things down there?
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. It's interesting actually. Is Pattaya busy? You kind of hear mixed reports, and it does seem to sort of go in fits and starts, really, because some days seem extremely busy and others don't, quite randomly. And I've had family over the Christmas and New Year period, and they're just actually going back today. And they look around and they think, oh wow, this is like super busy. But of course, us that have known times where it was even busier than that, feel that it's still quite quiet. So I think again, it's pretty much the same as we were last month. I mean, things are definitely starting to get going, but obviously they're nowhere near the sort of pre-COVID levels. And one of the big factors, like it or loathe it, is the Chinese factor, isn't it? Because of the Chinese travellers are essentially allowed back in now, so that will bulk up numbers.
He sounds so depressed about it. It's tourism, so it's okay. I mean, I know there was a big hullabaloo. We were discussing this before about the visas and the checks, COVID checks and things like that. But that's all sort of sorted. So have you seen there's an awful lot more of the Chinese tourists coming in? Because what I hear is more a lot of Russians are coming back. There's Europeans. You're now getting flights direct from Utapao, from Russia, and also from Dubai. Yeah, and now you get more and more coming from China. So do you see it's mostly Chinese? Because it is Chinese New Year now. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe, as you say, they probably would have been more likely to stay. Perhaps we may see an influx now that once Chinese New Year comes to an end. I've not noticed it, but as you say, Russians, without a doubt. I mean, I was in Macro the other day on a Saturday afternoon, and I've got to believe 50% of the people that were in there are Russians, because as you know, Russians quite often tend to go self-catering, don't they? And they rent houses and that type of things on their holidays. And I was also up at the Pullman Hotel for an event last week and chatting to Simon, who's the manager there, and yeah, his occupancy with Russians is very, very high. And actually, funny enough, I was playing golf with another friend of mine who's the manager of the Avani in town, and he said that something like he only had 10 rooms for Chinese, and he had 40 rooms for Koreans and quite a lot of Japanese, and he was running at 90% occupancy.
Wow, that's great.
So that shows that people are coming back. And again, without wanting to generalize, obviously, I think the kind of Korean, the Japanese markets are ones that people are after. They're much less price sensitive, aren't they, than many other nationalities.
Right. So what else is happening down in Pattaya?
Well, it's interesting actually when I mentioned that, as I say, when I mentioned about playing golf with Matt, and he was saying about the higher numbers of Koreans and Japanese, and that kind of feeds a little bit into something that's been talked about quite a lot down in Pattaya now, and that is the cost of golf, which has gone up quite dramatically. As you're probably aware, there's, I don't know how many now, but certainly 40 or 50 bars that run golf societies, which have, perhaps anything from 30 to 40 expats going out sort of 2 or 3 times a week. And of course, that's all year round. So they get deals with the golf clubs because they're bringing people there, especially in the quiet season. Now, suddenly, we've had an influx of tourists who are, again, higher spenders, perhaps. Mentioned the Korean, the Japanese, possibly other Asian golfers are coming. The golf courses are full, and therefore, of course, the prices are going up. And I think a lot of the societies are up in arms because, their view is, well, we support the clubs year in, year out, regardless of how busy they are. And then suddenly, you're seeing price hikes. I mean, everyone expects to see maybe a few $100 onto it, but some of these courses, you're talking green fees have doubled since
like
what
they
were
so
6 months ago.
how much would a typical green fee cost you before?
Well, I mean, I can remember getting some deals not so long ago, sort of 2, 3 months, and this is the sort of higher end courses like a Lam Shebang. for like sort of around about 18.99. The other day, I had a friend of mine who had a voucher. I wanted to come and join them. They wanted 4,500. You know,
Oh,
I mean, that's the difference in price. I mean, it can vary a lot, and a lot of courses do, different deals, and there's, sports days and this type of thing. But you used to be able to get a round of golf at a mid range course for probably around about 1,000, 1,200, and then maybe an extra 400 if you wanted to take a cart. But now I think those prices are pretty much unheard of. I don't think there's a lot around for under 2,000 at the moment. There'll always be the odd deal here and there, of course, but
but
generally speaking, I
is
think
this does this mean that they're
which is
not giving the
10%
deal
higher.
and they're giving the normal rack rate, or does this mean that the prices all round have gone up by 50% or 100%? Yeah.
Well, obviously, each golf course manages its own business accordingly, doesn't it? With a bit like a hotel or anything, with the rates and the demand and supply. So yeah, possibly you're right. I mean, like anything, a bit like a hotel again, you have a rack rate which is often higher, but then if you book in
Yeah.
advance or use booking.com or something, then you can get a deal. Same you can with someone like Golf Dig or which is an app here which people use. And like I said, I think a lot of the societies who might be bringing 90 golfers a week to a course, they will have done deals with the general managers of the courses. There's not a lot that can be done, and it's quite, I can understand people's frustration, but I suppose you can understand the golf club's got to manage that accordingly as
Well, I
well.
think
And it's
as you say,
interesting.
if it's through groups or different pubs or different places have an agreement, yeah, and are bringing so many people, obviously they should get a preferential rate because they can rely on them. Yeah. So yeah, okay, all right. So that's anything else happening down there? Because I saw that there was a report that there's a stadium being built just now in Pattaya.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, the stadium. Yeah, well, that's not far from where I live, and I can remember, sort of having discussions with my sons and whatever, driving past it about any ideas on what happened there and why it even happens. Because, at this moment in time, Pattaya Dolphins, who are the local club that I actually support, and I went to watch them on Sunday, and they won 2-0. They're in the third tier of Thai league, and I think we're probably lucky if we get 1,000 people turning up at the moment, whereas they've got this stadium which I believe holds up to 20,000. I'm not sure what the plan is there, whether they intend to reignite Pattaya as a Premier League club or what exactly,
Well, I
whether
mean,
it's going to be used for
it,
lots of other
it
sports.
looks as if they're sort of following a similar model as Buriram. They're trying to set up something where more sporting events can be held there. I mean, what started off in Buriram with a football expanded into the racetrack, where I
Right.
was at the end of December doing a documentary. What seems to have happened is I think it's probably through COVID that the builder off skied. Yeah. He went, he went away. He disappeared, and so they're trying to sue him for damages for 80 million. What's probably happened is a lot of people for COVID's left, so they didn't have the labour to do it probably. So they're going to try and sue them for 80 million, and so there's 80 million worth of damage, and sue them for about 61 million. But what they're saying is that they're getting a new contractor in just now, and then they will resume work. But they're like all these projects, which is anything related to government, yeah, it's obviously gone over budget. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking at it's supposed to be have a standardized Olympic swimming pool, tennis courts, and a basketball court, amongst other things. And then it's the stadium itself, the grandstands, will accommodate 20,000 spectators, and it's expected to be finished by 2025.
Okay,
So
so
there
I've
you
got a
go.
long way to
All
go
right.
yet.
But the big one I would like to discuss is there was a survey done of, they said, 100 expats amongst other sort of expat clubs. And this is in January, between the 18th and 20th. And the key point was, with all the people coming in from Russia and China, etc., that the bureaucracy, or from regards to immigration and other other departments you have to deal with, government departments, they can't cope with the amount of people. So they've got
I
queues and
glanced
queues
at
and
that article
queues.
you sent. I mean, they're talking about the 30-day reporting. Are they becoming
Well, the
excuse me, becoming
there's a
a bit of an issue?
TM30. The
Sorry, the
TM30
TM30, nice talking.
the TM30 was to do is for anyone that's not sure what that is. A TM30. We used to get a card when you arrived. You had a TM30. This is actually to do with when you go to a hotel, stay in a hotel, go to somebody's home, and stay there, and you're not at your residence. They are supposed to report uh, online to say that you're staying there. And then when you come home, the owner of that residence is supposed to report as well. So the hotels would normally do this as a standard practice. But if you're a resident, you've got to have this piece of paper, which means that when you're going to renew your visa or you're going to get your driving license, open a bank account, they will want to see some proof of residence. Yeah, and that is normally through a contract and through this piece of paper when you leave and come back. Yeah, but some hotels, etc., are just not doing it. Yeah, why? Because they don't want to report the person has actually been staying there, which means there will be tax, so they have to report the income or whatever it is, which I assume. Yeah, so it
Mhm.
puts people in a difficult position. Now, I am assuming, Craig, that you can use the same system. It isn't. It's to do with Thai immigration. It's not to do with Pattaya or
Well, oddly
Bangkok or anything
enough,
else. Yeah.
again, I've tried to report online several times using the link and never been successful. I mean, with my own personal situation, because I travel for work quite a lot. Very rarely am I ever in Thailand for any 90-day period, and of course,
Right.
every time you come back, it resets.
That's
So
correct.
now that I'm back into that, obviously during COVID was different. We had to do it. But for me personally, as I say, it's not really something I have to worry about because I'm always leaving the country within a 90-day period, so to speak. Um, but that said, I've used I mean I've used agents before because they don't charge much, and as you say, the thought of it's different when you're working. Obviously, if you're retired, you can afford to spend 5 or 6 hours down at immigration. But I think if you're working, then that's not feasible. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it's not an issue for me. I mean, we all know that Thailand loves a bit of bureaucracy. I would say, if anything, we're moving in a good direction, a better direction when it comes to a lot of these aspects. I mean, okay, these resident issues for residents is one thing, but when you talk about immigration and, as I mentioned, traveling a bit more now, I found without the need for the blue cards, I found things to be a lot smoother. I see immigration officers finding older people and people with young children and all the rest of it and moving them along and ushering them through the fast track channels and this
Hmm.
sort of thing. And all in all, I think most people I've spoken to recently, despite a few teething problems, which was expected as soon as the doors were open more, immigration's been very, very quick and efficient
Yeah, I mean,
for a lot of people that have been.
I would agree with you. I mean, we always moan and groan because even if we're back in the UK, US, wherever you come from, we'd all complain about it there. I mean, I just renewed my passport, yeah, my British passport, so changed from European to British, and amazingly, I got it back within 2-3 weeks. So that's just
Yeah, well, I was at
my
a
thought.
breakfast briefing the other day with the British ambassador and other representatives of the embassy, and they were talking about those sort of issues and the fact that the time frame, at least with the passports, has been is sped up, even though, as you say, it's not actually their responsibility. But they were also, quite proud of the fact that those that are travelling to the UK, the visa application process for that has been sped up considerably.
No wonder, because the
And
UK needs
also,
the money. They need the money.
well, with the new people coming in, yeah. I mean, I believe in the past it was, 8 to 10 weeks, and now they're claiming sort of 2 to 3 weeks for UK tourist visas and whatever to be issued, presumably mostly for Thai nationals. And yeah, they just talked in general about bureaucracy and about certain industries, and how they're there to help have conversations with people, and how often they feel that a lot of expatriates who are in business over in Thailand often just kind of shrug their shoulders and say, oh well, this is the way it is in Thailand. We have to do this, we have to go through this hoop, we have to do this, we have to tick this box. The embassy representatives and even the ambassador himself, I think, was actually saying, you don't have to necessarily, or at least bring, grievances and issues to us, and we can have a dialogue. Because generally speaking, we do find that often when they're having the dialogue with the Thais at the highest level, they are listening, and there is a very good relationship. And sometimes I think with Thailand, they maybe don't realise that this is a hassle for the individual and for business growth. And if they did realise, they would make it easier for you. So yeah, just a little bit of feedback that we got there.
That's good.
From
That's good. It means they're open-minded to represent the expat. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's certainly from the British Embassy's point of view, it's nice to see that engagement with the business community, because I know that in the past that hasn't always been the case. And other embassies have had their diplomats and their ambassadors a lot more engaged. But this new chap is excellent. They say he's been there a year, but I think because of obviously the situation, he hasn't been able to build his presence. His Excellency Mark Gooding. Then
well, you remember the name, yeah?
Seems a really. Well, yeah, I was sat next to him. So
you did really well there, so maneuver about, and it went bing.
got my photographs for the marketing and all that.
That's good, yeah.
So all good, but yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I think you and I know, we've been around long enough to know that sometimes a lot of these events and whatever that come along is a bit kind of arbitrary, regurgitating the same old stuff, and you don't really come away feel like you've learned anything. Whereas this particular briefing the other week was a lot more. I felt that I learned something, so that's good. Always good.
Okay. Anything else? Anything dynamic happening down in Pattaya, or is it just same old? Yeah.
I think we're probably having a bit of a lull now, aren't we? I mean, of course, you had Christmas and New Year, and Chinese New Year at the moment is still happening, although I know that's never a huge holiday in Thailand. It's not an official holiday, is it?
No.
But a lot of the people, kind of engage in the ceremonial side of it, don't you? You see a lot of the people dressed up in their nice Chinese dresses and the blessings and whatever.
The red colour. The red colour.
Yeah. Well, our neighbours, we've got about 3 tons of bananas in our house at the moment from our neighbours. Giving us a present for New Year. So if anyone wants any bananas, then
you try to communicate something, calling you a monkey or something like that. No.
You're more than welcome to them. Yeah, a little bit of dragon fruit as well, and of course the old famous durian. But I think with the price of that these days, then that's why it's less durian and more bananas.
Okay, that's great. Well, that's an update to what's happening down in Pattaya. So thanks very much, Craig. Much appreciated.
No, you're welcome, Andrew. Cheers. Have a good day.
All right, speak to you later. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. Again, please subscribe, share, and if you get any comments, pass some comments. Or if there's anything particular you want us to bring up regarding Pattaya, Hua Hin, Bangkok, etc., please let us know. There'll be another few videos coming out with a section called Thailand Business or ChitChat Business. So you'll just watch out for that playlist, and we'll be putting that up on the site as well. Basically just sharing information that we receive and maybe you haven't seen, but I feel is useful to the general sort of business community. Okay, thank you very much, and speak to you later. Bye.